Everybody, it's Andy Cloudy Mulder, your self-proclaimed metal mogul, back with my top 10 covers, album covers from 1981. Again, art, very subjective. My top 10 is it's limited to what I have in my collection, and I have to say, looking through 1981, I don't think it was a massively strong year. I've got about 50 albums to choose from, so I'm picking 1 in 5, and I found that a little bit of a struggle, if I'm honest. But all of the ones I've picked out, I do enjoy looking at, and I think are very pleasing on the eye. Again, your favourites will be very different from mine. Let me know in the comments which ones you think I've missed. Who knows, maybe I'll find an album that I've not come across before, and I can judge a book by its cover, and or a record by its cover, and have a listen and find something new. That's why we do this after all, isn't it? I couldn't even find 10 vinyl records, but there's nothing wrong with CDs. It's just, unfortunately, you don't get to see the artwork as much. This is Seraph, Frost and Fire. Fantastic fantasy artwork. I was a big fantasy fan back in the 80s when I was a teenager, and that would have been right up my street. But I didn't know Seraph in the 80s. Very much a band that I'm late to the party with. This is a cover that has always fascinated me. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best artwork. It's not really. It's more of a mess than anything else. But it genuinely looks like they trashed their rehearsal room to get the picture. And I don't know whether they trashed their rehearsal room and then thought, let's get a picture, or whether they genuinely did it to get the picture. But pre-Photoshop, there's padlocks hanging off things, there's stuff through the amps. It just, I'm sure somebody had to clean up that shit after, and but I'm sure it was a good laugh. It actually says on the back the sleeve concept is by Raven, and I can well believe it. Next two albums by the same artist, an artist that was prevalent in the 80s. That's Rodney Matthews. Tigers of Pangtang also featured in my 1980 video. This time it's a Crazy Nights. Different singer on here. We've got John Deverill instead of Jess Cox. But that cover, not only iconic, but superb artwork. I'll show you the back as well while we're at it. But for me, not as good as the first album, although many would disagree. So Rodney Matthews again. This time it's Praying Mantis, Time Tells No Lies. Now this is one of those covers that would definitely benefit from being a gatefold, because it is not just this part of the picture. You can see a wee fireball being shot at the praying mantis's head. That comes from the wizard on the back. But even front covers alone, which is what I'm kind of basing this series on, it's an amazing piece of artwork, and instantly recognisable as a Rodney Matthews piece. This is a band I have very little from. In fact, I think this is the only 80s only studio album in total that I have from Van Halen. They just never did it for me, and I don't think they were really that big a thing in the UK in terms of being marketed either. But I was also attracted to this artwork. It's fairly brutal, with a guy ramming his head into a wall in the top right of the cover there, and also somebody getting their face smashed in, while this guy down here particularly enjoys it. Now, if this was a reissue it would be one of those ones you'd look at it and you go, the reproduction is shocking. It's very, very pixelated and zoomed in. It must have been blown up from the CD. But this is 1981 and there wasn't a CD of this at the time. So I don't know if this is a famous piece of artwork or something that was commissioned for the album. It kind of looks like it's something they nicked rather than they had produced for them. But I've always found it a fascinating cover, nonetheless. Another one that I find fascinating is Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman. Not a massive Ozzy fan, to be honest with you. I don't mind some of the earlier albums. Don't mind this album at all. Certainly not a favourite album of mine from 1981 by any means, but the cover is... it's cheesy horror. There's plenty to get your teeth into and look and deep dive and try and find things in the dark and the gloom. The little kid giggling away in the background. And Ozzy trying to look evil, but it's very theatrical. Very cheesy. I like a bit of cheese, though. Now, this is the Electro version of Motley Crue's Too Fast for Love, which came out in 1982. But the original artwork with different logo was from 1981. So I've included it in here. It's not one that I stare at because it's a man's crotch in leather, but it's such an iconic cover. And obviously the leather and the heavy metal, and it's just one of those covers that you instantly look at and just think, yeah, I'm gonna stick that album on. I had no idea they looked like this when I first got into Motley Crue. Shout at the Devil was my intro, but iconic cover. Don't always pick iconic covers for this. I have to kind of like them as well. But like I say, I thought 81 was slim pickings. You knew it was coming. Derek Riggs, Killers, Iron Maiden. One of my favourite Iron Maiden covers, I have to say. It's sinister, it's evil, just the hands dragging down Eddie's t-shirt as and the blood dripping off the axe. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Demon, another band really late to the party on. Didn't know these guys in the 80s, and as I was, probably 8 or 9 years ago maybe, trawling through a record shop, I came across this, and my first reaction was, that's got to be some kind of gnarly thrash metal with that cover. So I picked it up as a blind buy, and then found out that Demon were actually a very early 80s new wave of British heavy metal band, and not thrash at all. The lyrics are a little bit demonic, I guess, but the music certainly doesn't match the cover at all. But having said that, this is one of my favourite new wave British heavy metal albums. I absolutely love it. Superb. But yeah, gnarly cover. Love it. And last but not least, Dio era Black Sabbath making its second appearance. Sabbath, Mob Rules. You gotta love those strange, they're kind of like druid Ewok lepers. Very, very sinister. I've always wondered what is behind the sheet. Maybe we'll never know. But there we have it. That's my picks for 1981. Some good albums there. Not necessarily my favourite musically, but I do enjoy the covers. It's just a shame 81 was a little disappointing, I think, to pull 10 fantastic covers together. But if you disagree with me, let me know what I missed in the comments, and I will stand corrected. Thanks for watching. See you in 1982.